the past few years, they boast about how much better and how competitive they are with Apple. But at the end of the day, you bow down.
Well, the thing...
Hey, that's what they did. Apple didn't move theirs.
Every once in a while, Andrew, I'm reminded that you used to be a professional wrestler. At the end of the day, you bow down.
That's what happened.
Welcome to Geared Up, brought to you by National Car Rental. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
All right, we have got iPhone news for you.
Yes, we do.
There is another new iPhone coming out this week, and we'll have the inside details based on the early reviews and Andrew's insights, plus my favorite gadget of the year so far.
I'm getting tired of you saying this already.
Amazon's new smart plug. I think it's amazing. I know it's basic, but that's one of the reasons I love it, and I'll explain why I love it.
I feel like there's going to be a twist here and that you really don't like it that much.
No, I actually do like it quite a bit. Plus, I got to experience firsthand a new augmented reality basketball viewing experience in Los Angeles this past week. So I'll be talking all about that.
Yes, and you're talking about like actual NBA experience, not like a basketball video game.
Exactly. An NBA viewing experience that the creators hope will become the way we all watch NBA, just as you have the shot tracker in golf with the trace of the golf ball or the first down line in the NFL. They're hoping that this will become ubiquitous like that on other sports broadcasts. So let's talk about all that coming up. But first, Andrew, I got to tell you, I had an experience this past week where I attempted to use you to my advantage, to use my affiliation with you to my advantage.
Interesting.
I got stuck in Portland, Oregon at the Portland airport because I was flying back from Los Angeles to Seattle, and the fog was so thick that they diverted our flight at around 2 a.m. after it had been delayed going out of LAX. It was the nightmare at any rate. So after a bunch of different things, and I won't bore you with the details, I ended up needing to drive to Seattle. And I went up to the National Car Rental desk at the Portland International Airport, and they said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Bishop. I know you're a member of the Emerald Club, but we can't get you in. We just don't have any cars that we can allow to go from Portland to Seattle. We got to keep them all here because it's our corporate day." And I got to say, great customer service at National Car Rental. Huge fan. I love the Emerald Club.
Right.
And I said, did you know that I know Andrew Edwards? And Andrew hosts, technically speaking, on the nationalcar.com control center. You can also find it at nationalcar.com.
You just gave him the whole ad?
I gave him the whole ad. I was like, but like, I host the show with Andrew. And the guy said, "What?" I said, "No, seriously, nationalcar.com, the control center, technically speaking, sorry, man. Anyway, it didn't work.
That reflects poorly on him for not knowing his own company's best. Oh, by the way, which was revealed to me, and I'm allowed to share this, technically speaking, resulted in the best ad campaign in the history of National Car Rental.
Whoa.
What's up? He should know that.
Yeah, I got to say, he was very nice about it. He kind of laughed at me. He knew I was like somewhat doing it tongue in cheek, but I did want to see if he knew. And then when I went out after I went to Enterprise to get my car, unfortunately, but they're affiliated. They own. And I was able to actually use my Emerald Club membership.
There you go.
Through that. So at any rate, and
worked out.
All good. But he was extremely nice, and he walked over and he said, "Glad you found a car."
Nice.
So, okay. Hey, let's get into the tech news.
Okay. Story number one is what?
Story number one is the new iPhone XR.
I like how you keep pointing at me.
I struggle with the iPhone names.
You said the hard part, though. You said 10.
Okay. Andrew, I think that people out there are having a hard time keeping track of which iPhone is which. That's my theory.
Okay.
Set the context for us. Give us the Cliff's Notes on what iPhone this is.
Before I do that, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What?
Am I going to buy it? No.
No. What leads you to believe that there was a confusion? I'm just curious if it's like you've seen it or if it's just more of an assumption
I will tell
or a
you
feeling.
Exactly. It's my market research of one. I am confused. And so I assume everyone else is.
Okay. Because you're confused. Everyone's confused. All right. iPhone XR reviews started dropping today. It is the third iPhone configuration available this year. So Apple this year released 3 new iPhones, and all 3 of them are genuinely new: XS, XS Max, and the 10R. The 10S is similar to last year's 10, just a little bit better internals. The 10S Max is the first time that we've got a 6.5-inch phone. Other than that, it's the exact same as the 10S, just bigger battery and bigger screen. And then the 10R comes in at the middle. It's actually 6.1 inches, so it's bigger than the 10S, and it's smaller than the 10S Max, but it's $750. I'm sorry. Yeah, $750, which makes it $250 cheaper than the entry-level iPhone 10. For $50 more, so at $800, you can get it for 128 gigs. So it starts at 64, bump it up to 128. And then for $100 more at $900, you can get 256 gigs. So even at the top end, the iPhone 10R is still less than the 64 gig iPhone 10s.
Okay.
So it's the cheapest entry level iPhone.
It sounds like the one to buy.
It's the one to, I think so too. And so here's the thing. If you're into tech, if you're like a tech connoisseur or tech fan, probably the people who watch the live stream, if you're that kind of person, a lot of people out there have been giving, without seeing it, the iPhone 10R a lot of grief because it has a lower resolution display. It's an LCD instead of an OLED. It's basically, it has one camera instead of two. So they're saying it's less than, but it is less than. That's why it costs less than the iPhone 10s. But people are thinking, well, if it has a lower resolution display, then the display is going to look bad. All the reviews started dropping today, and all of them are saying how great the display is. So it's an LCD display, just like the iPhone 8. But Apple actually did some extra work anti-aliasing along the sides to get the curved corners. It's the first time we've ever seen an LCD display with no forehead or chin, just a nice thin bezel all around it. Apple put some extra work in here. And one person, one of the best reviewers, video reviewers that I know, Sam Sheffer, he got his hands on it and he said, the iPhone 10R display is razor sharp. That was his quote. It's razor sharp. So you're not going to look at it and be like, oh, this display is so bad. You're not going to even notice it.
But I know that one difference between this device and the higher end devices is the fact that there's no 3D touch. Is that right?
That's correct. One of the differences is there's no 3D touch because there's so little bezel on this display that they just couldn't fit that in. So they have something that they're calling haptic touch, which is a compromise. So haptic touch is you long press on something and you'll feel the internal thing like push, but it was really just a long press and it wasn't a push.
Press. Yeah.
The problem there is that in places where you would 3D touch, if there's already a long press there as well. So for example, on the home screen, you can 3D touch on icons to get a menu, or you can long press to like delete them and stuff. You can't do haptic touch there because you're always just going to have the long press result, not the 3D touch result. So it's a little bit of a compromise there. I use 3D touch quite a bit myself, so I would miss it, but I would assume most average people don't use 3D touch all that often.
I use it in some cases, but frankly, more often than not, it ends up throwing me off. Like I'll accidentally do it when I didn't mean to do it. I'll do a long press or a deep press actually is what happens.
Yes.
It's pressing deeper into the screen and it activates something that I didn't mean to activate in some app that I haven't used before.
Right, and then you just run away from it. Like, I don't know what that was. Yeah. So yeah, I think most people are in the same boat. So unless you really know what 3D touch is and where to use it, you're probably not going to miss it that much. It has one camera instead of two. It has the same main camera as the iPhone XS.
But that means it has both front-facing and back-facing, but only one rear-facing.
Correct. Yes, yes. So it has the same front-facing and the same main rear-facing camera as the XS. It doesn't have the second rear-facing telephoto lens. So what's interesting is it does have the ability to do the portrait mode. Have you used portrait mode?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So Absolutely. It can do that.
How?
It's using one camera lens similar to the Pixel 3, actually. Pixel 3, best portrait mode probably. It also only has one camera on it. It's using computational photography. So it's figuring out things using, processing rather than actual, optics. But since it only has one camera, there's some pluses and minuses. The plus is that you can actually take a portrait mode photo without having to zoom in. So it's using the main camera. So the person can look, a lot of times portrait mode is like it's cropped in and you don't really get much background. But with this, it doesn't have the zoom. So it's doing portrait mode with the main lens, which gives you a different look to your photos. Because it's using the main camera lens or the one main camera lens that it has, it lets in more light than the other one. So the portrait photos on the 10R are more brightly lit than the ones on the 10S.
Huh. Okay, very interesting. And for people who might not know this, the portrait mode, the signature is you've got the blurry background.
Yeah.
And it makes it look like a professional shot where they've really tuned the aperture manually, except it's automatic on the phone. That's interesting.
Now, there's a downside, though.
Yeah, what is the downside?
So that's the upside. The downside is that since it doesn't have the two lenses, Apple has to, again, use, software to determine where the face is. With the 10S, portrait mode works on pretty much anything. You could have like a cup of coffee here and do a portrait mode. With the 10R, it has to see a face.
Got it.
It has to know, okay, there's where the face is, and now we know how to process this image. So you can't take portrait mode photos of anything but a human face.
Sidebar here. I got to tell you, we got our daughter a point and shoot camera.
Okay.
She's 7 years old and she's not yet ready for her own phone.
Sure.
But she's of course played with our phone, and she and her friends like to do videos, unboxing videos.
That's hilarious.
They're aspiring YouTubers. I've told her about you and said, if someday, if you play your cards right, you can do what this guy's doing.
Right.
Play with gadgets and get paid for it.
Right.
She took the point and shoot and she said to me, okay, yeah, where's the camera pointing at me?
Oh, she wanted a selfie camera.
She wanted a selfie cam.
That's hilarious. I mean, that's this day and age, right?
That's exactly. It felt like, you wouldn't have asked that 5 years ago. At any rate, so the iPhone 10R has both front and rear facing cameras, but only one rear facing camera, whereas the iPhone 10S has the dual cameras that give you the traditional portrait mode.
Correct. So it's just different. It's just different. So, some people might see one as more beneficial than the other.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, though, I think at the end of the day, by the way, the other main feature, the 10R is the phone with the best battery life in the history of iPhones.
And that equates to what?
By 90 minutes more than the iPhone 8 Plus.
So that means you can carry it around for how many days?
Well, I don't know about days, but it's definitely like an all day, like morning till night and then some phone, which, I mean, battery life, that's one of the things that, for me at least, it's not something you really think about when you're buying a phone. But when you're in a situation and you start seeing your battery dwindle down, your heart starts like pumping a little bit. Your palms get a little sweaty. You see it turn red. You hit 20%. Oh no. What am I going to do? So having a phone like that with a great battery, one of the best, the best battery in the history of iPhone, better than the 10S Max, which is a bigger phone, bigger battery in there, because it's not pushing as many pixels, it's more efficient. So if you're on the fence about which phone to buy and you don't want to spend $1,000, the iPhone 10R is not, I don't feel it's a compromise. It's just different.
To me, it sounds like what you're saying is the iPhone 10R is mainstream. I mean,
that is the mainstream device. Yeah, I'd think so.
Okay. So just to clarify, what we're talking about here is the iPhone 10R that starts at $749. It's available later
Friday morning
this week.
Yes.
Friday morning of this week. And the iPhone 10s starts at $1,000 and the iPhone 10s Max is about $1,099 starting. And that's the big screen one. So there's the landscape, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do, which one people go for during the holidays. But there's more to come, right? Because Apple has an event coming up.
Apple has an event on October 30th. They're going to be announcing the new iPad Pros, which should have the same bezel-less look as the iPhone 10 has. So basically, just imagine a large iPhone 10. No bezels, no notch either, because it's a larger tablet. They can fit everything they need to without putting a notch on there. October 30th, for the first time ever, Apple's doing an event out of New York City, Brooklyn. And there was some controversy, by the way. The OnePlus 6T is going to be the first probably mainstream-ish phone with an in-display fingerprint reader. So the fingerprint reader will be in the display itself rather than in a home button, which is cool. But they announced their event for October 30th a few weeks ago. Then Apple announces their October 30th event, both in New York. Apple's event starts an hour later than OnePlus.
Oh boy.
And OnePlus, who has been if you watch their keynotes, they're always attacking Apple. Our notch is smaller than theirs. You still have a notch. You still put a notch on your phone. You still copied their design. Like, we still have a headphone jack. Headphone jacks are not rocket science, they said, right? This year, they're removing the headphone jack. They have a bigger notch, and they bowed down to Apple by moving their event to the day Before.
Before.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Well,
Apple's not even announcing phones. This is iPads and Macs.
Yeah.
But OnePlus said, you know what, we can't compete. They try to, the past few years, they boast about how much better and how competitive they are with Apple. But at the end of the day,
well,
you bow down.
Well, the thing.
Hey, that's what they did. Apple didn't move theirs.
Every once in a while, Andrew, I'm reminded that you used to be a professional wrestler. At the end of the day, you bow down.
That's what happened.
Well, I got to say, they're not just competing OnePlus here for the attention of consumers. They got to get the right media in the room, and that's the issue, right?
Right. But if you want to get media there, again, Apple didn't say, OnePlus, we have to get media to Apple knows we have a product that press wants to see, right? So OnePlus, where are you at with making that happen? I'm just saying, and I'm not hating on them. I think they make good products, and they make good products that are very well priced. Like you can get a OnePlus 6 today for about half the price of like a flagship Samsung phone and get like 98% of the features. So OnePlus phones are great. I just like to call out the hypocrisy when you try to say, for example, headphone jacks aren't rocket science a year ago, and then this year it's gone.
Right. Anything else in that realm that we want to talk about?
No. A week from now, Apple will be announcing, like I said, the new iPads and new Macs, and that's going to be the next big thing. That's going to be Apple's last hurrah leading into the holidays.
That's great. So we'll talk about that on future episodes of the show. Coming up, though, a device that I've been using in my house that I really has changed my life for the mere price of $25.
Wow.
That'll be coming up next on Geared Up. Welcome back to Geared Up. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
It is time for the National Car Rental Story of the Week.
Yes, it is.
We'll get to that in just a second. But first, Andrew, you have a great show called Technically Speaking.
Yes, I do. I just recorded a bunch of them last week, actually. That's why we didn't have it geared up. I recorded 7 episodes. No, 9. 9 episodes of Technically Speaking. That's my show where I tell you about the best tech gear to take with you when you're traveling, whether it's business travel, personal travel. Gadgets can make it more convenient or more fun. So I picked the best and I share that on Technically Speaking.
That's right. You can find that at youtube.com/nationalcarrent. Also at the nationalcar.com control center. And really, everybody should know this show, including people who work at National Car
they should.
At the Portland Airport.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Next time you see the folks at the Portland Airport, you should say, hey, you guys sponsor a great show called Geared Up.
I'll just pull up their website and hit play.
Yeah, Andrew has a great show called Technically Speaking on the nationalcar.com control center. You should check it out.
Right. I shouldn't say Andrew has. That would be weird.
Yeah.
We're just talking in the third person.
I'm talking to the viewers out there. The viewers and the listeners out there.
If you're out there, yes, do that.
All right. The latest tech puts you in the driver's seat. National Car Rental's Emerald Club will keep you there.
That's right.
That's right. From memory on that one.
Good job.
Pretty good.
Good job.
All right. This week's National Car Rental Story of the Week.
What is it?
It is the new Amazon Smart Plug.
Is that the name of the product?
It is, yes.
Just Amazon, the most exciting name I've ever heard. Amazon Smart Plug.
That's right. This is a new device. It was part of the wave of devices that Amazon announced a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That included things that caught a bunch of people's attention, like the microwave.
The Alexa microwave, yes. The big digital clock.
Yeah.
A bunch of new stuff.
A bunch of new stuff, but to me, the most interesting thing was the Smart Plug. It's $25. It is the first party Smart Plug for Alexa. In other words, there's lots of smart plugs out there that work with Alexa,
right?
But they are from other manufacturers,
correct? Not
from Amazon. This is the first time Amazon itself has come out with its own smart plug. And the difference...
That's the question I had for you.
Yes.
There's so many smart plugs already. Why is it so exciting?
Oh my gosh. The difference is incredible. And the difference is primarily in the setup. And the reason I'm so passionate about this topic, and I can tell you're laughing.
Trolling me. I feel like you're just, I don't know why. It's like,
Andrew, how many times have you tried to set up a smart plug from a third-party manufacturer? Can you describe the process for me?
Usually the process is you plug in the smart plug, you go to your phone, you join a Wi-Fi network that the plug has created, and then you give it the password to your real Wi-Fi so it could jump on that.
This is true. You're skipping a few steps here.
Then you download the app. But sometimes there is a QR code that you can just scan on the device, and then that'll like expedite setup. And then once you have it all set up, then you use the app or Alexa or Google Assistant or Siri to then control whatever's plugged into it. Did I miss a step?
Yeah, well, you missed the part where you forget your password for the third-party app. You got to reset it. You know, like there's so many different places where it can go wrong.
Do you not use iCloud Keychain?
Okay, well, there's a good tip. But you know, there are times when I've spent probably up to an hour trying to set up a smart plug. Do you know what happened the first time I plugged in my Amazon smart plug?
No.
I plugged it in.
Okay, into the wall.
Into the wall.
Okay, you took it out of the box, plugged it in the wall,
and I got an alert on my phone.
What?
That said, new plug found. To control
immediately?
Say, Alexa, turn on first plug. And do you know how they did it?
No.
I use Amazon's Wi-Fi password save. So in other words, I save my Wi-Fi password in the cloud with Amazon.
Did your wife know this?
She does not.
I didn't think she did.
Please don't tell her. I think that the risk, such as it is worth it because I had to do literally no setup except for going in and changing the name of the plug to what I wanted it to be.
Okay.
And
so you said the phrase that I told you to say, and that was it. Setup is done.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow.
Really, actually, I really had to do nothing. If you wanted to leave it as the phrase, it was set up as first plug. If you wanted to leave it as the phrase, you were done. You plug it in and you're done. To me, that is the beauty of it. That is exactly how consumer electronics should work. And the fact that it was so astonishing, literally plug and play. As opposed to the past when it was plug and pray. Was that a dad joke?
Drop a comment in
Todd's sense of
humor. If you have a better dad joke than that.
You should see the feedback in the surveys after our events. Just like I think one of them was just stop trying to be funny. At any rate, seriously, you plug this thing in, it works, you move on. To me, that is the way everything should work. And the reason I've tried to, because to me the plugs are sort of the basic entry point for the smart home.
Okay.
And I've gotten them for my family that's had Alexa. And, hey, not only can you ask Alexa cool things, but you can control the light over there. It's kind of a cool little Christmas thing for people who aren't really familiar with these things. But last Christmas trying to set up my mom and dad's lights. And finally, I think my dad walked over and went, you know what? And he turned the switch on and off and said, I think this is better.
Oh,
it's like that kind of thing, I'm probably exaggerating there, but we came to the realization that the good old fashioned light switch was a better solution than this thing that took me an hour to set up.
If you're doing one light at a time. I mean, if you're trying to do multiple lights or set a scene, smart home stuff is the way to go.
Exactly. So that is the Amazon smart plug that works with Alexa. The last time I checked, it was actually sold out. I mean, this is obviously
$25.
$25, yeah.
Now, you're excited about the setup process, which obviously saves a lot of headache and frustration, right?
Yes.
But once you're set up, correct me if I'm wrong, now it's just like any other smart plug that's set up properly, right?
Basically, I will say that the design is especially nice. I know it's not alone in this regard, but it has a very nice horizontal design such that it doesn't block the plug above or next to it in the power strip or in your outlet. So that to me, they took all the things that are painful about these devices and tried to solve them.
That's nice. Someone said you could have just got the clapper.
Oh my God. I hate the clapper. And the problem is the clapper tried to get too fancy.
Did they?
Back when it was just, one clap or two claps and you had one light. But, they added the whole thing, and we have a clapper.
What do they do? You have a clapper?
Yes.
What?
So the issue is that they've added a thing where if you clap multiple times, it will turn a different switch off. It's it's like the multi-pronged clapper, like way too complex.
You gotta do SOS. What is that called?
Yeah, I don't know. But
when they do SOS, what is that called? Morse code.
Yes.
You have to do Morse code by clapping.
Basically.
Terrible. That's not good. I thought they stopped selling that in 1986.
Oh, no,
I didn't realize
you asked about my wife earlier. Like she loves the clapper. And I'm like, no,
geez.
I'm not going to go with it. No.
Wow.
I think I might have, when we moved recently, I think I might have accidentally lost the clapper.
Nice. She would not be happy that Amazon has your Wi-Fi. I'm just saying.
Sorry, not sorry. All right. So that is the Amazon Smart Plug. It costs $25. It works with Alexa, and it actually is in stock now. So they've gotten that up to speed. And that is the National Car Rental Story of the Week.
Nice, nice. I have a feeling that is going to make a reappearance in a few weeks on our annual holiday gift guide show.
Oh, my gosh. Stocking stuffer written all over it.
There you go. Foreshadowing.
All right. We will be right back with a glimpse of the future of NBA sports broadcasts and augmented reality. We'll also be talking about the latest from Google, the new Pixel 3 smartphone. That's coming up next on Geared Up. Welcome back to Geared Up. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
So you got another phone in your hands here.
Yes, I do.
Tell us about this one.
This is the Google Pixel 3 XL. I really like the feel of this phone. I'm a fan of it. I do have a couple complaints, but I want to show you one thing. If you look at this phone, you notice that that's called the chin down there, right? So what I was saying earlier about the 10R is it's the first LCD display that doesn't have, everything is even around the 10R.
Right.
It doesn't have this extra chin because I don't know, to me, I don't make devices obviously, but to me it's like if you're a competitor of Apple, you buy the 10S, you open it up and you see how did they do that. But no one yet has been able to replicate that even bezel around the side on an LCD. So it's just
as opposed to an OLED.
Right. This is an OLED phone, but the reason this is here is because they have these insane front-facing speakers on there. So they had to make space for these speakers. So the speakers on the Pixel 3 XL both face you.
So would you end up would you end up using those speakers for music or for video?
Music, like they're so good that you wouldn't need a Bluetooth speaker. You could just play the music from your phone. So that means, those small Bluetooth speakers, they're not the best sounding in the world, but this will at least replicate that. The notch on top. What do you think of notches, by the way, these days? Does it bother you?
No, not anymore.
People get mad.
It looks more pronounced, though, than the one, at least on my iPhone 10.
It's interesting because the notch on that is deeper, but not as wide. See what I mean?
Yeah,
so it might even be the same
right.
volume of notch. But the reason is they have these two cameras in there. And that might even come across as an excuse because the smaller Pixel 3 has the exact same cameras, front and back, and does not have a notch.
Don't worry, I'm just posting something to your Instagram.
Oh, that's
fine.
Don't
worry about it.
That's fine. So the thing with the Pixel 3, a lot of people were making comments about how Google never said the word Android when they announced
not
it.
one
Not once,
yeah.
Now, and I think, this is just me thinking, out loud. I don't think Google sees this as an Android phone. And when I say that, I don't mean they're ashamed of Android. But when you say Android phone, you think of a sea of phones, right? They don't want to be one of many.
Right.
Pixel has a specific meaning to Google. Pixel is hardware, Android, machine learning, and AI. That's what Pixel is. And so to just say Android phone kind of misses the point of what Pixel is.
Wouldn't they say that it runs Android?
Well, they could say that, but I guess my point is more the complete package is what they're selling, not Android.
Okay.
Because there's so many choices on Android, but there's only one Pixel. Like this phone, did you see the feature where it can answer your phone calls for you?
No.
So if you get a phone call, you can have the device pick up the phone and you see in real time the conversation. And then you can tap on responses that you wanted to ask before so it'll be like, hey, I'm so-and-so calling from, whatever. And you can say, is this urgent or more information? And then you can get to a point where you ask them to leave a message or you pick up the phone.
And does it do it in your voice?
No, it doesn't do it in your voice, but it tells them something like, hey, this is, the person you're calling uses Google to screen their calls.
How about Patrick? Could it do it as Patrick Stewart? That's what I want.
Man, I think Google has actually played with that in one other area. I think their GPS, they started letting you put like celebrities in there. So that would be cool, but.
Hello.
Right.
Andrew
exactly.
can't make it. I can't do it.
But that's
Patrick
cool,
Stewart,
though.
but that would be great. Yeah.
Like I wish that the iPhone did that.
Yeah.
Because you're live screening your call. You can see in real time what people are saying.
What version of Android does this run?
It runs Android Pie, which is the latest one.
Okay.
So yeah, Android Pie.
I've been, I've not used Android Pie, but I got to say I'm using it here and very intuitive.
Yeah.
Immediately
so
I was able to get it.
People are going to say I'm being biased again, but it's very iOS 12 like, right?
Yes.
Like the reason you're able to just pick up, he's not a Pixel user, not an Android user, you're able to pick it up and just start using it because the gestures are similar.
In fact,
to what iOS has.
Looking at this, I love how it brings up the tray and then allows you to go to the apps.
Yes.
Underneath.
And that's nice.
That's an Android staple, and actually they've moved that into the Chrome OS as well. That ability to swipe up.
It's called the app shelf. So you can have your home screens however you want them to be, and all your apps are in the shelf away instead of just having an endless grid of apps. That is a solid Android feature.
I'm pretty sure that feature was innovated by Windows 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
So that would be the only thing Windows 8 innovated then.
Hey,
let me tell you about my one complaint with this phone. The camera, Android's camera, by the way, or the Pixel's camera, fantastic.
Yeah.
Best camera out there.
Yep.
When you're using the camera app. If you are the average consumer, now again, if you're watching this live stream, you're probably not the average consumer. If you're the average consumer, you buy your phone. How many people do you know who just live in Facebook or Instagram or Twitter? They live there. They buy their phone to do email, text messaging, and social media. That's what their phone is for. I was testing this phone on Instagram. I was doing Instagram stories, taking pictures, taking videos, and I had both phones with me. This is the 10S Max. I'm going back and forth on Instagram with these two phones. And people started responding to me, why is the Pixel so terrible? Why does it look so bad?
Right.
And then they started saying, because then I started talking, and like, why is the audio so terrible on your Pixel? What's going on? And obviously I was shooting the video, so I couldn't hear what they were hearing.
Right.
And I went home and I started looking into it. And lo and behold, the stereo speakers, the stereo recording on the iPhone, and now recording stereo, sounded great. The Pixel sounded so bad and looked terrible. And I thought it was defective. And then I opened the camera app, took some video, took some pictures. Like, this looks great. This is still the best camera. I don't understand what's going on. And it turns out, if you're a developer making a third-party app, you don't just get direct access to the camera. Google's using software to optimize their pictures and videos to make them look as great as they do. And third-party developers can't just tap into that. Whereas on the iPhone, if you open the camera, you're just it's just the camera. There's no, if you're a developer, you get this area of the camera. And if you're a first party, we get that area of the camera. Google is so good at making images and videos look great on this phone using their in-house software that third parties aren't able to use. And sometimes it's so bad that, in fact, when you take a picture in some third-party apps, it's not even taking a picture of the camera. It's taking a screen grab of what's on the screen.
So that sounds like a basic API software development kit policy issue.
When you say that, my eyes start to glaze over because I'm just like, I just bought a phone that I just want to use. I just want to go on Instagram or Facebook and just use it.
Well, you're kind of like
you're
me
talking about SDKs, and I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, but you're like me talking about plugging in a plug.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very similar. You just want it to work. You don't want to know any of the details.
Right. So, that's my main complaint with the Pixel. If you're Pixel fan.
So this costs, the XL starts at $9. It looks like it starts at $1,000. Why don't you look this up while we're
$1,000. I'd rather get a 10R.
Really?
Rather get a 10R.
Okay. Let me tell you about an experience I had this past week. I went to the Los Angeles Clippers basketball game.
Yes.
And they unveiled, and Steve Ballmer, the former Microsoft CEO, is now the owner of the Clippers. He's working with a company called Second Spectrum that's based in LA, just a few blocks from Staples Center. And they unveiled a new experience called Court Vision, Clippers Court Vision. The idea is that the screen, as you're watching the game, from the video feed, from the arena, not like holding it up, but actually from the video feed, it actually is augmented with different annotations, stats, animations in near real time. So there's about a 2-minute delay currently. And just for purposes of comparison, if you're watching an NBA game at home, typically there is a delay in the broadcast that can be as much as up to 30 seconds from the actual live action on the court. The delay for the processing to take place is essentially 2 minutes, but they're trying to shrink it down to less. And it, for me, was fascinating because it's the next step in the evolution of things like the first down marker on the TV screen, the yellow line across the screen, which if you took that away, people would be screaming, right?
Right. And it's just normal now. You just,
exactly.
You don't even feel like it's text so much. It's just part of the broadcast.
Right. And more recently, we've had things like the strike zone in Major League Baseball and the shot tracker, the trace, the arc trace in golf, both of which are also things that are very valuable. And I think if you took them away, people would miss them, although they wouldn't be screaming like they would if they couldn't see the first down line.
Right.
The NBA Court Vision is not there yet, but it has the potential. In addition to animations, which is in what they call the mascot mode, they have what's called a coach mode and a player mode. And the coach mode actually diagrams the play on the court as it happens.
That's crazy.
Somebody sets a pick, sets a screen, does a roll, goes to the basket, and just a few seconds after they do it, it shows exactly the direction that they went. It also it identifies the player with the ball, which is actually pretty cool if it is nice. You're a casual fan or you're not familiar with the visiting team. And it shows, this was for me the closest thing to a killer app inside this. It shows the stats over their heads. So just as an example, if one of the players hit a 3, it would show their point total over their head as they're running back down the court for a few seconds. If somebody got a steal or basically assist, a rebound, anything that you might do that would be a kind of a fundamental stat, it'll update it over their head as they go. And this is all AI, not human intervention.
Oh, wow.
So they're using 6 cameras that are installed in every NBA arena.
Are they already installed in all of them?
Yes.
Okay.
So this technology is only available from the Clippers right now, but they are hoping, this company, Second Spectrum, to roll it out more broadly to other NBA teams. And in fact, Second Spectrum uses those cameras already. And these are merely cameras to spot the action. And then the actual cameras that are augmented, the views, that's from the broadcast. Mm-hmm. But they are already using those 6 cameras overhead in the NBA arenas to provide stats to the teams. So now they're basically hoping eventually that the league will take this on for consumers. Really fascinating. And
where can people watch this? Is this just, can anybody tune into a Clippers game and watch this?
Not right now. Right now it's available to viewers of the Fox Sports app in the Los Angeles area. And there's a private beta where about 1,500 people are able to get in on it. But I can tell you, the thing that was most remarkable to me was it works and it's live with a 2-minute delay. And it basically was pretty seamless in my experience, but not yet on the level of being indispensable like something like the first down marker.
That sounds really cool. That reminds me of the home court app that we saw from Apple, where but you actually have to use a phone, but you can point your phone camera at a basketball court, and as people are playing basketball, it's tallying everything that they've done and saving it. Yep. And in real time, just shows you on the screen how they're doing, which is super cool. Like, this is the future. Now, until they get that processing time down, and 2 minutes is not all that long, but nowadays, sports is such a social event that people are on social media. You don't want it to be like 12 seconds to the buzzer beater, and then like everybody on Twitter is like, hey, and you're like, I'm still 2 minutes away. What do you mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that is the biggest issue, is that time delay. And so that's a challenge. And I will say that it was even more pronounced sitting in the arena in Staples Center, because I was doing it on my phone in Staples Center, which is not the normal use case. Usually it would be people at home, but and so there the gap would be less because there's the natural time delay between the actual action on court and the normal broadcast. So anyway, pretty cool and fun to do it. By the way, just full disclosure there, we are doing a project with Steve Ballmer, a podcast project that's going to be coming out soon with his nonprofit USA Facts.
Is it interesting?
Yes.
I mean, it's Steve Ballmer.
It's Steve Ballmer. I've talked with, this weekend, I talked with Ann Coulter. I had a moment with Michael Avenatti. I talked with Josh and Toby from the West Wing.
Wow. Okay.
We've got lots of people talking about numbers and politics and sports and business and tech. So that'll be coming up. You can get a little preview, by the way, at geekwire.com/numbersgeek.
There it is.
All right. That's it for Geared Up.
Yes, it is.
Anything else you want to add?
No. Looking forward to the new iPads and new Macs. The Mac Mini has not been updated in 4 years. Let's see what they do.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for listening to Geared Up. If you're not already, you should subscribe to Andrew's YouTube channel to see our live behind-the-scenes videos. You can do that at youtube.com/gearlive.
And, of course, you can subscribe to Geared Up in your favorite podcast app. Just search for Geared Up, 2 words, not one, in Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
And if you like what we do, consider leaving us a rating and a review. It really does help other people find the show. Geared Up is a GeekWire podcast. You can see more from us at geekwire.com. Claire McGrane produces the show. Until next time, I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.